guys, it's Tan, and in this first series I want to talk a little bit about the misunderstood zodiac signs. The reason why I'm making this series is because I feel like there's a lot of people who go and try to find information about their sun signs and they read up information that is actually telling them about the archetype of their sun sign, not the sun in that particular sign, and then they get a little confused. And then they feel that astrology doesn't actually work. But the reason why that's happening is because they are, or if you're one of those people, you might be thinking that, for example, if you're an Aquarius, you might think that the archetype of Aquarius is equal to the sun in Aquarius, which is not true. They are not equal. So just to kind of explain this in a very simple and easy to understand way, when they talk about Aquarius as a sign, it's almost like you're saying that this person has their sun in Aquarius, moon in Aquarius, Venus, Mars, Mercury, Jupiter, Saturn, Pluto, and all their planets in Aquarius in the 11th house. All right? And the truth of the matter is that nobody in the entire world, I don't think there's anybody in the entire world who could possibly have such a combination. You could be an Aquarius sun, you could have your moon in, let's say, Aries, and then you could have your Venus in Pisces, maybe you have your Mercury in Aquarius, and maybe you have your Jupiter in Gemini. So we are all actually a mixture of all of these signs, and they're all within us. They just play out in different aspects of our lives. So that's why I called this series the Misunderstood Signs series. The sun itself is telling of the person's identity. So, and when the sun is in a particular sign, it's about the style of their identity. It's the style of how they go about in the world, trying to identify themselves as being in the world. If that makes any sense. Knowing someone's sun sign does not tell you about how they are in love relationships. It does not tell you about their career choices. It doesn't tell you about their hobbies, how they think, how they communicate, their life mission, or any of those things. It is just their identity and the style of being in the world. So I think there's a bit of a caution that goes in when you are trying to learn more about just your sun sign, and there's not a lot of information out there about talking purely of your sun sign. So I hope that this series is going to help you with that. And also I kind of just wanted to defy stereotypes because that's what I like to do. Okay, I think that it's time to start. So I'm going to quickly apparate and then we're gonna get started. The misunderstood sun in Leo. The archetype of the sun in Leo that is highly misunderstood is that Leos must be confident, have a big ego, and just be very egotistical. There are actually a lot of shy Leos out there, and I've met some pretty shy Leos. So I wouldn't say that all of them are confident. They could have a sun placed in a very introverted house. With having the sun in Leo, this goes right in between the signs of Cancer, Gemini, and Virgo and Libra. So having your sun in Leo could mean that you might have a Venus or a Mercury in a sign like Cancer or Virgo, which is gonna make one pretty shy. Of course, the sun is the identity and the way that you go about being in the world, identifying yourself as being in the world. So having a sun in Leo, the sun actually rules Leo. So this means that you would actually have an identity that is very well defined. You know who you are, okay? And you're sure about what you want. In this respect, it is very similar to having the sun in the sign of Aries. However, having the sun in Leo and being very sure of yourself, you see, if the sun is in a sign that it is not doing very well, the person has less of a self-esteem and self-worth. But when the sun is doing very well in the sign of Leo, the person has a very high self-esteem and self-worth. And when someone has a high self-esteem, they view themselves as having a lot of good qualities. And with the sun in Leo, these good qualities tend to, it leads one to wanting to be accepted in the world or being recognized in the world in some ways. And one way that I see this manifesting in the Sun in Leo person is in terms of love. You see, the sun, when you have a very high self-esteem, you really do love yourself, and self-love is something that I absolutely love about Sun in Leo people. They really do love themselves in a way that doesn't necessarily have to be conceited or egotistical. But at the same time, when they really, they love themselves, they want to love other people as well. But this creates a sense of insecurity when they're not having that love returned to them. So they also have a lot of self-respect, and that's why the identity is very linked to respect. And they respect others, and they respect themselves, and they expect respect in return. That's how they go about being in the world. But at the same time, because the sun is being in a sign that is pretty fixed, Leo is a fixed sign, it's not easily changeable, so the identity is not easily changeable. So you kind of, even though you want that love in return, you are not willing to change your identity, okay? Which is not a bad thing. It's a good thing to not want to change, to not change yourself to get the love. But at the same time, this creates a kind of tension or struggle where like you love yourself, you know who you are, you love other people, you're hoping that they would love you in return, but at the same time, if they don't love you in return, then you don't want to, then you can't change yourself to make somebody love you, but then if you don't, then they don't love you. And that is kind of, I feel that that's kind of the struggle of having an identity in the sign of Leo, but at the same time, it's not really a struggle. When they realize, and a lot of Leos do realize, that if someone doesn't love them for who they are, then it's really not love at all. It's really just, the other person having some kind of neediness and wanting the Leo sun person to change. And when they realize that, they know that that's not true love. The other thing with having an identity in the sign of Leo is that nowadays the society tends to view self-love as something that's bad. And I mean, I really just don't think that that's the way to go about it, because self-love is a very, it's a wonderful thing to have. And Leos understand this the best. They understand that it's good to have self-love, and it's good to love other people. To have that kind of, love yourself and you love others. But a lot of people in the world don't understand this, and that's probably why they view the Sun in Leo person as being conceited or egotistical, self-centered. So the tarot card that I've picked out for the Sun being Sign of Leo is this card right here. Of course, since the theme is love, I've picked out the Lovers. As you can see, there are two people, and they are they're in a very luscious, fertile environment, it's kind of like the ocean or the lake. They're surrounded by water, which is a representation of emotions and love. There are dolphins. Two dolphins representing soulmates at the background, and then there's this angel up above, who is supposed to be a representation of unconditional heavenly love. And I think that a Sun in Leo is really capable of having this heavenly divine love for another and for the self. And they can be very tangible in the way that they want to show their love. Very much as these two are very practical, very tangible in the way that they're showing their love. She's got flowers, he's got gold, and they've got like golden armbands there. So it's very rich. The love is very rich. And so now I'd like to talk a little bit about my experience with people who have their sun in Leo. So I actually know not too many people, but some people with their sun in the sign of Leo. My mom has her sun in the sign of Leo. These people are the ones that I find really easy to get along with. They just kind of like, it's almost like they know how to make other people happy, and without having to sacrifice themselves. You know, there's a lot of people, like a Pisces sun maybe, would go out of their way to make other people happy, but then they would be like stepping over their own boundaries or sacrificing too much. But the sun in Leo would never sacrifice too much to make other people happy. They are very aware of when they are not receiving the love, and they are not, and this is a very healthy kind of love, I think, to not give too much of yourself away in order to love other people. So that's why it's like you can really easily get along with them, because you don't ever feel like they are not happy. You always feel like they are happy with themselves and they are happy to be with you. It's the aura of warmth that they radiate when you're with them. And I actually know a Sun in Leo person who has their moon in Aquarius. So they're actually not the warmest person when you actually want to be intimate, but when you are just getting to know them, you're just friends with them or something, they know how to cater to your needs. They know how to give you the warmth that you need, and they're very they tend to kind of be able to cater to your physical needs. So they tend to kind of remember when you tell them things that you like to eat, or books that you like to read, or music that you like to listen to, and they kind of tend to pay attention to those things and be able to cater to those things when you need them. They don't necessarily cater to you like on an emotional level or very deep level, but on a more physical level, I see that the Sun in a Leo person can do that. Oh, and they tend to have this very, how do I say? I don't know if this is for all Sun in Leos, but for the ones that I've met, like kind of like, it's very fun to challenge them, you know? Like, if something is very difficult for them to do, they're gonna do it. And they're very brave in a way, okay? They're very like, they're gonna push themselves, and they usually can do it. Like, let's say that they're driving a motorcycle and they're going through like a very rugged kind of terrain, and then you're like sitting there with them and you're like, oh my god, this is hard, be careful, don't do it, let's go, let's take another way around. They're gonna not pay attention to you, and then they're gonna go ahead and drive right into that rugged terrain, and they would come out of it just fine. They would succeed. So they have a lot of willpower. They have a lot of will to push through and do something that's really difficult. And they have the patience for it as well. So those are just some of the things that I noticed about my relationships with Sun in Leo people. I guess that's it. That's my take on the Sun in a Leo, the beautiful Sun in the beautiful sign of Leo. If you are a Sun in Leo person, or you know somebody with their Sun in Leo, please leave a comment below. I would love to read all about it and have a little chat with you about it. If you haven't subscribed to my channel and you like this kind of content, then please hit the subscribe button and turn on your notifications so you'll be notified when I post a new video. That's all for today, guys. Bye!